What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 22. We have Kevin Holland versus Derek Brunson. In overall, not the most name value on the card, but there are some fun fights scattered throughout the card. The co-main event, Greg Gillespie versus Brad Riddell is a great fight. Adrian Yanez, Gustavo Lopez on the main card, a great fight. Grant Dawson, Leonardo Santos, Roman Dolidze, Trevin, Giles. So those are some fun fights that are on the card. There are some fights I'm not all that excited about, but regardless, another opportunity to make some money, have some fun, and watch some fights. So, of course, next week we do have UFC 260, which is Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic, and what's a phenomenal card. Can't wait for that. But first, we got to get through this one here. And before we get into it and break it down, if you guys can, please leave a like on this video. One small like goes a long way. I always say it. I know it's just a little like, but it really does help out a ton. And then also subscribe if you have not yet, so you do not miss out on my other content. Lots of stuff going on throughout the week. The live stream is going to be on Friday, as always, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where I talk my bets, DraftKings, weigh-ins, and final thoughts, all that good stuff. My betting breakdown on Saturday. So lots of stuff throughout the week. And I do appreciate all the support. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. And we're going to start with the first fight of the night. We're going to talk some odds. We're going to talk some picks. And this isn't the best card for betting, in my opinion. There's a lot of really inflated lines. Tons of line movement on this card that we'll talk about a lot. Not many dogs. There's a ton of big favorites. So, but overall, the card should be good. And we're going to start it off pretty good here with the first fight of the night in JP Buys versus Bruno Silva. And JP Buys, he is 24 years old, 5'6", 67-inch reach, 9-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Bruno Silva, he is 30 years old, 5'4", 66-inch reach, 10-5 and 2, and 2-2 and 1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and some really interesting line movement on this one. We have JP Buys opening up minus 280, currently minus 145. So some massive line movement on the Buys side. And Bruno Silva opened up plus 220, and he's currently plus 125. So what happened is, JP Buys on the Contender Series, he's obviously getting that Contender Series bump. People got into the tape, and they saw some serious red flags with JP Buys. And same thing with me. I saw some red flags with JP Buys. So just throwing this out here, he's never been to a decision, which I don't really like. His cardio is not all that great, but he does have a 100% finish rate, 34% by knockout, 56% by submission in Buys, and he has been knocked out before. He has been submitted before, and there was this one, I think it was a disqualification win a couple fights ago, where he was on his way to really losing that fight, and the guy kind of elbowed him in the back of the head. The ref waved it off, but he was about to, get finished in that fight. So arguably could be 8-3 in his career, but there are some red flags with JP Buys. I think this guy's a phenomenal wrestler, a very good grappler. The striking, I haven't really seen it yet, but he's young. He's 24 years old. I'm sure he's going to be making improvements fight after fight. But Bruno Silva, he's really no slouch. This is somebody that has had a tough run so far, but he's been fighting some very, very good guys. Like he fought Khalid Taha, who did pop for, I believe it was some type of steroids or something like that, so that turned into a no contest. David Dvorak, who was a very good fighter, and then in his last fight, Tagir Ulanbekov. And obviously he's fought the much better competition. He even fought Casey Kenny before. But yeah, this is a tough fight. This is a close fight because I do think JP Buys is going to have success. I do think he's going to have early success, but in getting Silva down. But I don't know if he's going to be able to hold him down Silva's a black belt in BJJ. He showed very good wrestling himself in his last fight against Tagir when he took him down a couple times, which was very nice to see. And I had a bet on Tagir Ulanbekov in that last fight, and I really wasn't sure that he did enough to beat Bruno Silva. And I just think Bruno Silva, he's youngish, 30 years old, training at a very good camp. I think this fight's close. But what does concern me is after the first round, what is JP Buys going to look like? Because in some of his past fights, in that second round, he's very labored. He's very, sloppy in that second round with his striking. The wrestling isn't all that there anymore. He loses a lot of strength, it looks like. Opponents are able to stuff takedowns. So if Buys is not able to get Silva out of there in that first round with a submission or something like that, I kind of lean to the Silva side, especially as a dog here. So I like Silva. I do think the first round, honestly, he'll probably lose the first round. But after that, if Buys has not made improvements within his last, couple fights ago, which is possible, but just the way he fights, just the way he's built, going out there, balls to the wall, trying to get takedowns, it's going to really take a toll on him. And Bruno Silva is going to have the cardio advantage here. And he's, like I said, he's a black belt himself. So I don't necessarily see Buys submitting him early. And if Silva can survive the early storm, I do think he takes over as the fight goes on. So I like Bruno Silva here. I'm going to pick him to win by second round TKO. I think Baze is going to really gas himself out, trying to get that early finish, trying to get takedowns, which I do think is going to have success win that first round, but I do think he's going to tire out, and eventually Silva's going to get him out of there. So give me Bruno Silva taking the underdog in the first fight of the night, and which should be a very fun fight. All right, going from a very fun fight to it should be okay. I mean, Stoliarenko's last fight was probably the worst fight I've ever seen in my life. There wasn't much going on, to say the least, against Yana Kunitskaya. Kunitskaya held her up against the cage for 14 and a half minutes, and it was just bad. It was a bad overall. But, in this fight, we have Julia Avila. She is 32 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 8-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Julia Stoliarenko, she is 27 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 9-4 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Avila is a big favorite, opened at minus 325, some money coming in on her. She is now minus 380. And Stoliarenko, she is plus 315, opened at plus 250. So, yeah, some money's coming in on the Avila side, and yeah, I mean, after getting to the tape, I definitely see why. Stoliarenko, she's not going to have much for Avila here, I don't think. What I don't like about Stoliarenko is in a lot of her fights, she's pulling guard. She's flopping to her back. The wrestling's not there. And Avila's, she's strong. She comes forward. She's aggressive, and I really like that about Avila. Maybe not the most technical striker, but she is dangerous. She is aggressive, and I do think that's going to help her a ton in this fight. And I do favor in the striking overall against Stoliarenko, who is pretty much a grappler. Stoliarenko has 0 wins by knockout, and she has finished 90% of her wins by submission. So if there's going to be an armbar from guard on this card, it's probably in this fight. I mean, that's Stoliarenko's path to victory is an armbar from guard, but Avila really should probably keep this standing. I mean, I don't see why she'd take down Stoliarenko. I think she can. Maybe she will. I think Stoliarenko will allow her to take her down. But I think that's giving Stoliarenko her only path to victory. I think Avila should come in here, keep it on the feet for 15 minutes or up until she finishes her, and probably get that knockout. So outside of an armbar from guard situation where either Stoliarenko pulls guard or Avila takes her down for some reason, which she might because she can, but I think the best path to victory would be keeping it standing, coming forward and throwing some bombs, getting Stoliarenko out there. So I'm actually going to take Julia Avila to win by knockout. Stoliarenko has been finished by strikes before, and I really like Julia Avila. I mean, I think she just went full-time, which is going to be very big. She quit her job, 32 years old, so yeah, I like Avila to win this fight, and I'm going to say she wins by, I'm going to say first round knockout. She's going to get Stoliarenko out there, but I mean, if she takes this fight down to the mat, she's going to be playing with fire. Next we have an interesting, this is a very interesting fight because I probably should not be made here. Montel Jackson versus Jesse Stroder. Montel Jackson, 20 years old, 5'10", 75.5-inch reach, 9-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jesse Stroder, 29 years old, 5'8", I think like a 69-inch reach, something like that. 5'1", 5-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. But going into the odds here, Montel Jackson is the biggest favorite on the card for a really good reason. Opened up minus 515, currently minus 650. Stroder opened up plus 375. He's currently plus 475. And, on some books, Montel Jackson's minus 800. Some books, Montel Jackson's minus 833. So he's a big favorite on the card, and, for a really good reason. And people will probably argue that this line's off, and it's really probably not off. I mean, Jesse Stroder, I will say this, he's very dangerous, but he's very green, extremely green, only 5-1. He's very unexperienced. He's fought, really poor level of competition. And I think Jackson has him covered, pretty much everywhere and pretty much by a decent margin as well. The one thing I will say is, I don't know, I mean, Stroder, he's been getting hurt by these, really low-level guys. I mean, getting into brawls every single fight. It is in the small cage, but Montel Jackson, I think, could either stay on the outside, pick him apart, knock him out, or I think taking him down would be a big thing as well. And, Stroder, he looks like a decent wrestler, can't talk, but I think he's a decent wrestler. He can get takedowns on these lower-level opponents, but when he gets these takedowns, he doesn't do anything with them. He just, stands up. He doesn't want to go into his opponent's guard. So I think the takedowns from Stroder are probably off the table, and Stroder basically is going to have to land a big shot. And is it possible? Yes, it's MMA, but, this is Jackson's fight to lose for sure. I mean, he's the much better fighter by a very decent margin. I think Stroder has some upside, I guess, but I think it's way too early for him to be in the UFC. So I'm going to go with Montel Jackson here to win. I'm going to say first round knockout. I don't see this going to decision, but I think it's going to be extremely one-sided. But is Stroder live? I guess everybody's live. Everybody has a puncher's chance, but, Montel Jackson really should win this fight. So give me Montel Jackson by round 1 KO. All right, battle of the bad fight IQs. Who has the worst fight IQ out of these two fighters? And we have Roman Dolidze versus Trevin Giles. Cashed a nice bet on Dolidze in his last fight. Dolidze, he is 32 years old, 6'2", 76-inch reach, 8-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Trevin Giles, he is 28 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 13-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Roman Dolidze is a favorite here. He did open up, I believe, as a bigger favorite. And then the money has been coming in on the Trevin Giles side. And I can kind of understand why, but taking a look at the odds, if I can find them. And here we go. Roman Dolidze opened up minus 155, currently minus 130. And then Trevin Giles opened up plus 125, currently plus 110. And the big thing here for me especially is Roman Dolidze is going to be coming down a weight class from 205 to 185 on short notice, which is a extremely big red flag. And I really do want to see weigh-ins before I put any action on this fight, if I put any action on at all. So I'd kind of wait if I were you guys, if you are planning on betting either side here or a prop or anything like that, because you probably want to see Roman Dolidze at the weigh-ins. I wouldn't be shocked if he missed weight, because he's a pretty big dude for 205, and I want to see him make this weight cut, especially on short notice. So, but as far as the fight goes, two guys that, like I said earlier, their fight IQ is questionable. Trevin Giles is up there with one of the worst fight IQs I've ever seen against Gerald Meerschaert. All he had to do was stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet. The very first shot that Giles landed, he hurt Meerschaert, but he was taking down Gerald Meerschaert in that fight. He allowed to get taken down by Meerschaert, and he was getting swept, reversed, and then ultimately he got submitted in the third round. He got submitted in the third round 2 times in a row, and it's just really hard to trust this guy against James Krause. Krause came in there on like a day's notice, and Krause was able to take him down easily in that first round and almost submit him in that first round, but ultimately dominated that first round on Trevin Giles. And I just really question I really question Trevin Giles. I mean, I picked him in his last fight against Bevin Lewis, and I was like the only person it seemed like that would pick him in that fight, but he looked good, he looked decent, but kind of what I was talking about in his last fight was, I think, he's young, he's 20 years old, but I kind of felt like he was on, somewhat of a decline. I mean, he started out very hot in the UFC, but he, had those 2 losses in a row, kind of a questionable win over James Krause. He had a nice bounce back win, but, this is somebody that's a part-time police officer, so I really question where his head's at, how much training he gets. He's not at the best camp in the world, so, a bunch of question marks there, and they have Roman Dolidze, who, somebody who, there were some question marks with this guy coming into the UFC. I believe he was coming off of a big layoff. I think he got suspended for PEDs or something like that. But he came in, got a very nice win over Khadis Ibragimov. And then after that, had a really good win over John Alon in his last fight where I bet on him. And that was somewhat, that was a split decision, which was probably, very questionable. I thought he won that fight pretty clearly. But yeah, I like Dolidze. I like what he brings to the table. He's exciting, but again, the fight IQ for Roman Dolidze. During the first round, I think, he took down John Alon. He asked his coaches during the fight, he said something like, "Coach, do you want me to submit him?" or something like that. Like, you can't, this is the UFC. I wouldn't be doing that stuff. Maybe something on the regional scene, but this guy's a madman. I saw him on the regional scene screaming at his opponents. This guy's, he's fun. I think this fight's going to be fun overall, but as far as picking a winner, I'm going to take Roman Dolidze. I see advantages in the grappling by a decent margin. I think if he does have a successful cut down to 185, the dude's going to be built. Just guessing, and I think he's going to be strong. And we've seen Giles taken down by Gerald Meerschaert, who has no wrestling. We saw him taken down by James Krause. So I definitely think a strong guy like Dolidze can take him down. Dolidze did show some good wrestling in his last fight. And then if he does get Giles down on the mat, Giles has made mistakes and quite a few of them on the mat. So I think the submission's very live for Roman Dolidze, and maybe even the knockout. We saw Trevin Giles get hurt before. But on the feet, I will say Roman Dolidze is kind of low volume, but I don't know. I think on the feet it's very, very close. So I like Dolidze here. I understand the question marks. I understand the weight cut. it's kind of weird. I'm seeing a ton of love for Giles. I mean, where was that love in the last fight? But I guess people want to fade Roman Dolidze here, and I guess I get it. Bad fight IQ, but you look at Giles and his fight IQ is even worse. But I'm going to take Roman Dolidze here. I'm going to take him to win by first round submission. I think he gets Giles down, and I think he submits him. And should be a very fun fight for as long as it lasts. Either way, I really don't see this going to the scorecard. So Roman Dolidze and first round sub. All right, yeah, this is a tough fight to call. Grant Dawson versus Leonardo Santos. Dawson, 27 years old, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 16-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Leonardo Santos, 41 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach, 18-3-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Yeah, Santos is I don't think the dude's lost since like 2009. I mean, he's on a big win streak here. Of course, he's very inactive, but a win streak nonetheless, which is very impressive. And Dawson, somebody that has been making a decent run here. 27 years old, very young. His one loss, I think it was a knockout loss where he was going for a takedown and got elbowed in the head. So yeah, I mean the dude's legit, training at a good camp, Glory MMA and Fitness. Taking a look at the odds here, Grant Dawson opened up a really big favorite, -260. It's currently -190. Leonardo Santos opened up +200, currently +165. So the money's coming in on Santos, and I'll be honest, I'm struggling with this fight. I mean, it's tough because Santos, the dude hasn't lost in years. He's very skilled, a very good grappler, obviously a black belt. I think he's like a 6-time or 7-time world jiu-jitsu champion, and we haven't seen that grappling much in the UFC. It's just because he hasn't really needed to use it. I mean, the guy has very good striking, and he has extreme power. I mean, we saw it in his last fight. He went out there and almost knocked out, who was it? Bogatov, I think his name was. And prior to that, knocked out Stevie Ray. Knocked out Stevie Ray, and this guy has some extreme power. And what I liked in his last fight against Roman Bogatov was a very, very good wrestler, it looked like, on the regional scene. He came in here and he stuffed like 10 out of 11 takedowns of Bogatov. But there are some red flags with Santos. The low volume is a red flag. The cardio concern is a red flag. He gassed out pretty bad in that Bogatov fight. And, Grant Dawson's going to have some advantages here. I think he's going to be, the younger fighter by, 14 years, which is pretty crazy to think about. You got to give him the wrestling advantage. But the big thing here is Grant Dawson is going to be coming up a weight class. And I don't really know how I feel about that because he was pretty big, for the 145-pound weight class. So I'm kind of curious to see him here at 155. And, typically throughout his career, and I know not many people have tried to take down Leonardo Santos because really, why would you? He has an 88% takedown defense, and I don't know if Dawson can get him down. And if he can't get him down, and this does stand on the feet, Grant Dawson's probably not going to look like -190. I'll tell you that. Grant Dawson is somebody that his striking is improving. He is young, but Grant Dawson's very, very hittable. 50% striking defense. He's there to be hit. He has been knocked out before, so I think Santos is live, but there's just so many red flags. The age, the cardio, the lack of output. I think Dawson's going to be coming forward, pushing Santos against the cage. Maybe he gets him down if he does. Stay safe on top. I think Dawson has more paths to win this fight, but I definitely wouldn't bet it. From a betting perspective, it's dog or pass. And I might even look at that Santos knockout prop. But if Santos does not get the knockout, I really don't see where he wins this fight. I don't think he's going to submit Dawson off his back. I don't think he's going to take down Dawson. And I don't necessarily see him outlanding Dawson. Dawson's going to be coming forward the whole time, making this a very exciting fight. And I don't know if Santos has the gas tank at 41 years of age to really compete in a fight like that. So I think Dawson's going to kind of drown him with the pressure and win a decision here. So give me Dawson by decision. I don't love it all that much. I was very tempted on the Santos side, but if he does not get a knockout in this fight, Dawson probably gets that decision win. So I will be taking a look at the Santos KO prop if it's juicy enough, but I think the most likely outcome here is that Dawson decision. So give me Grant Dawson by decision in what should be a very fun fight. Speaking of very fun fights, we have Macy Chiasson versus Marion Renault. Macy Chiasson, she is 29 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 6-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Marion Renault, 43 years old, another 40-year-old here. 5'6", goodness, 68-inch reach, 9-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. She is on a 3-fight losing streak, and yeah, she's going to be at a 5-inch height disadvantage and a 4-inch reach disadvantage. She's going to be, the Macy Chiasson's going to be the stronger fighter in this fight. Taking a look at the odds here, Chiasson opened up -240, currently -220. Renault opened up plus 180, currently plus 180. Yeah, so I like Chiasson here in this fight. I'm not going to go with the 43-year-old. I see a lot of people taking a shot on her as a dog. I don't hate it. Maybe you want to fade Macy Chiasson, who has shown some problems in the past. Against Lena Landsberg, she was a big favorite, closed at like minus 400. Landsberg was able to take her down, control her, I think, for the full second round, and then she was able to take her down again, I think, in that third round. Just some red flags there for sure. It's just in this fight, like, does Renaud go out there and take down Chiasson? I definitely lean towards no, but I guess it's possible. But Chiasson's going to be the much stronger fighter, the much younger fighter, which I do think that's big. And, Marion Renaud has not looked great in her last 3 fights, to say the least here. So I'm going to go with Chiasson to come forward. I think there's going to be a lot of pushing and, pressing against the cage. I think she's going to hold Renaud against the cage for a decent amount. Don't think she's going to take down Renaud or nothing like that, but I do think she's going to be the stronger fighter, hold her against the cage. I see this fight probably being somewhat boring, honestly. I don't see a finish either side. Marion Renaud has shown some very good durability. If there's a finish, maybe it's Renaud getting the finish. Maybe Renaud gets a sub, but I'm going to go Chiasson here. She's young. She's at a pretty good camp, and I'm going to take her to get the decision win. But would I touch the minus 220? Probably not, but I really do think she wins. And, it's crazy. Marion Renaud, 43 years old. What is she? About to turn 44 in 3 months, so goodness. And I do think she has another fight after this on her contract. So we'll see her at 44 years old next year. So interesting there, but I'm going to take the younger fighter, Macy Chiasson, to win a decision. All right, we have the wife here of JP Bays. We have Cheyenne Bays going against Mazerat Ruiz. Bays, 25 years old, 5'3", 63-inch reach, 5-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Mazerat Ruiz, 28 years old, 5 foot, 61-inch reach, 9-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Cheyenne Bays is a pretty sizable favorite here. Open up minus 360, currently minus 350. Ruiz opened up plus 270, and she's now plus 290. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cheyenne Bays was supposed to fight, what was it, Kay Hansen, I think? And now Ruiz is coming in here on decently short notice. But yeah, I don't want to talk about this all that much. I mean, Bays is a pretty big favorite for a reason. She's going to be the much bigger fighter. I think she's very aggressive. Her striking's pretty decent, actually. She's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, a 2-inch reach advantage. And Ruiz, she looks decent, but she's very hittable, kind of low output. I just see Bays, holding her against the cage, landing more shots, landing the cleaner shots, landing the harder shots. Maybe not finishing her, but probably winning a fairly clear decision. Would I lay 4-1 on Cheyenne Bays? Probably not, but I do think she wins pretty handily here. Don't really got much else to say. I mean, I'm going to go Cheyenne Bays to win by decision. I'm really curious to see, the career of Cheyenne Bays and how it plays out. She looks like a decent prospect, 25 years old. She looked really good in the Contender Series, but she is 5-1 in only 6 fights. So I think she's going to be making improvements fight after fight. I think this is a very winnable fight for her. I think they're, I'm going to take Cheyenne Bays to win by decision. So I'm fading a Bays, and I'm going with Cheyenne Bays here. I think they'll go 1-1. All right, next we have Max Griffin versus Kenan Song. Max Griffin, he is 35 years old, 5'11", 76-inch reach, going to have a 4.5 reach advantage, 5.5 reach advantage, 16-8 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Song, he's 31 years old, 6 foot, 71.5-inch reach, 16-5, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Max Griffin opened up minus 185, currently minus 220. Song opened up plus 155, currently plus 170. So some money is coming in on the Max Griffin side, and I can definitely see why. I mean, this is a very winnable matchup for him stylistically. Max Griffin is a little bit on the hittable side. Does absorb with 3.91 significant strikes per minute, only giving out 4.08. Does have a 56% striking defense. Same thing with Song, very hittable. Absorbs 4.2 significant strikes per minute, only giving out 4.3. 56% striking defense for him as well. And as far as the wrestling goes, and I think this fight is where the fight's going to be won and lost, is going to be on the mat. I think if Max Griffin comes in here with the game plan of taking down Song, he's going to probably look like a minus 300, a minus 400 favorite if he implements that game plan. And as we know, sometimes fighters don't always implement the game plan you think they will. Jason Witt should have went for a takedown right away in that fight. He got knocked out. But yeah, Max Griffin, if he does not go for a takedown, he is going to be playing with fire because Song does hit very hard We have seen Griffin knocked out before, and we have seen him rocked a ton in the UFC. So yes, Song is very live. I do think he has a puncher's chance, but this is stylistically a very good matchup for Max Griffin, who does average about 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, 53% takedown accuracy, which is fantastic, and Kenan Song does have a 45% takedown defense. So he has been taken down quite a few times in the UFC, and he's taken down pretty easily, doesn't have much to offer off his back, and I do think Griffin, if he comes out here with the game plan of, I'm going to wrestle, I'm going to get this guy down, I do think he wins a fairly comfortable decision. Max Griffin, not much of a finisher. Song has been knocked out twice, though, but I'm going to say Griffin wins a pretty comfortable decision here. Can he get caught? I mean, probably, but I do think he'll come in here, fight smart, get takedowns, and win a 30-27, 29-28. I'm not overly excited about the minus 200 price tag, but I do think he wins, and I do think there's an extremely clear path to victory for Max Griffin here. All right, next we have Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. Adrian Yanez is 27 years old, 5'7", 70.5-inch reach, going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. 12-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Gustavo Lopez is 31 years old, 5'5", 67-inch reach, 12-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds here, we have Gustavo Lopez opened up as a, if I can find it, Gustavo Lopez opened up plus 165, currently plus 185. Adrian Yanez opened up minus 205, currently minus 225. So some money is coming in on the Adrian Yanez side. And yeah, very interesting matchup here. I really like this Yanez guy. I think his striking is fantastic. I love his combinations. Very good hands and some very good power as well. Decent finisher. We saw in his last fight, very good finish. We saw in the Contender Series a very good finish. And he's a decent finisher. He does have a 75% finish rate overall, 58% by knockout, 17% by submission. We haven't seen it yet in the UFC or on the Contender Series, but this guy is a black belt in BJJ. And as far as Gustavo Lopez goes, he's a finisher. 92% finish rate for him, but he has been knocked out 2 times. I've seen him hurt quite a bit, actually. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, I think the better striker is Adrian Inez. I think it's pretty clear. Lopez is on the hittable side. I really question the durability of Gustavo Lopez as well. Adrian Inez, in his 3 fights, he's never been finished. All 3 losses were by decision, but Lopez, if he wants to win this fight, he's probably going to get it down to the mat. But, watching tape on Yanez, what I looked for was how's this guy's takedown defense? How's this guy's get-up game? And both were pretty good. So I think his takedown defense is great, and his get-up game is great. When he gets taken down, he works his way up to the fence, to the cage, pretty good, stands up. I think his takedown defense is great, and he has a black belt in BJJ, which I do like as well. But, Lopez is a pretty solid wrestler. But if Lopez does not get this fight down to the mat, he's probably getting knocked out. I mean, we've seen him knocked out twice before. Seen him hurt and dropped a ton. So I think Inez is going to knock him out here. And I'm really excited to see this guy. I mean, this guy, I think, has a ton of upside. He's 27 years old. I think there's a pretty decent ceiling for Adrian Yanez, honestly. And even Gustavo Lopez, I know he's 12-5, but, he went out there in his last fight, got an early finish, which was awesome because I was all over that. But 2 exciting guys, and I think overall it's going to be an exciting fight. I think the under 2.5 is interesting in this fight. I think either guy's probably live for a finish here, but I think the more likely scenario is Yanez putting him out. This guy's striking is legit. I think he's legit overall. So I'm going to take Adrian Yanez to win by a second-round knockout. And this, honestly, is probably one of the more exciting fights on the card and one I'm probably looking forward to the most. So give me Adrian Yanez to get it done by KO. All right. Oh, my goodness. Tai Tuivasa versus Harry Hunsucker. Tai Tuivasa was supposed to fight, who was supposed to fight? Dontel Mays. And I was going with Tai Tuivasa there. So you got to believe I'm probably going with him here as well. But, Tai Tuivasa, he is 27 years old, 6'2", 75-inch reach, 11-3, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Harry Hunsucker, 32 years old, 6'1", 75-inch reach, 7-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, they just came out, actually. Tai Tuivasa opened up minus 385, currently minus 385. On some books, he's minus 310. What I was really curious to look for was the under, which is not out yet. But the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 475, which, honestly, probably some value on that. But yeah, this fight's going to end inside the distance. This fight's going to end probably in the first round. Harry Hunsucker, I don't think he saw the 4-minute mark in the first round yet. He's never seen the second round, that's for sure. Harry Hunsucker, 100% finish rate, 71% by submission. His submissions are extremely low level. His opponents are either very, very tired or very, very hurt, and most of his submission wins there. And as far as his power goes, pretty decent power, but he has been knocked out 3 times himself. This guy does not have a gas tank. I mean, this guy is somebody that gets tired on the way out to walk into the cage. I mean, I saw in a fight where he tried to take some guy down. I think, it was against Dontel Mays a couple years ago. He tried to take Dontel Mays down. He couldn't take him down, and after that, he extended all his energy in the first 2 minutes, and he was gassed out in like the 2-minute and 30-second mark. And he's somebody that does look tired, after a minute or two goes by. So it's safe to say this probably ends in the first round. And Tai Tuivasa came out in his last fight, snapped a 3-fight losing streak against Stefan Struve, knocked him out in that first round with 1 second left, and I think that was probably the most excited I've ever been on cashing a bet. I bet Tai Tuivasa to win in that first round, and it was a buzzer beater. It was awesome. So, but in this fight, I mean, how do you beat Tai Tuivasa? You take him down. The dude has a 45% takedown defense, and a lot of people might think, Huntsucker, he has a lot of submissions on his record. Maybe he can get Tai Tuivasa down. I really don't think he has the takedowns to get Tai Tuivasa down. He's going to be the much shorter fighter as well, or the much smaller fighter as well. He's only an inch shorter, but he looks really small for the heavyweight division. And Tai Tuivasa looks a lot bigger, but we'll definitely see at weigh-ins. But I like Tai Tuivasa. His leg kicks are deadly. He comes forward, pushes his opponents against the cage, throws these big bombs, nice elbows, and I do think he knocks out Harry Huntsucker in the first round. But this is heavyweight. Wouldn't recommend laying minus 400 or probably ends up minus 450 by the time the fights start. I wouldn't recommend laying that. I think there's better ways to approach this fight from a betting perspective, but Tai Tuivasa probably knocks him out. If this fight gets extended in any way, shape, or form, Tai Tuivasa doesn't have the great cardio himself, but he will have better cardio than Harry Huntsucker, who is coming in on short notice. We've got to remember that as well. So I don't think the cardio is going to be there for Huntsucker. And if Huntsucker does not win in the first, say 1-2 minutes, get Tai Tuivasa down, which I don't think is all that likely. He's probably going to get knocked out. So give me Tai Tuivasa. Give me Tai Tuivasa round 1 KO. And I'm looking at the under. I don't know what the line's going to be at for the under. As soon as I see it, I'm going to hit it unless it's something crazy. But Huntsucker has not been to the second round. So I'm going to take Tai Tuivasa to win by first round knockout here in what should be a decent fight for as long as it lasts. And honestly, I do not expect it to last long. These guys are going to throw down. It's going to be fun. And then the co-main event. We have Gregor Gillespie going against Brad Riddell. The return of Gillespie has not fought in a while. 1 year and 4 months ago when he did face Kevin Lee. Brutal knockout. Very brutal knockout. It was hard to watch, but I'm glad he's back. 34 years old. He is getting up there in age. 5'7". Just turned 34 actually, a couple days ago. Yeah, he turned 34 a couple days ago. He does have a 71-inch reach, 13-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Brad Riddell, 29 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach, 9-1, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Gregor Gillespie, pretty decent-sized favorite. Opened up minus 170, currently minus 250. Extreme line movement there. Lots of money coming in on Gillespie. And Brad Riddell opened up plus 140, currently plus 210. It's safe to say people probably got into the tape, and it's a pretty good stylistic matchup for Gregor Gillespie, honestly. And watching tape on Brad Riddell, the guy's taking defense is decent, but he gets taken down quite a bit. Against Magomed Mustafayev, he was taken down 8 times, controlled a decent amount of that fight. Some thought he even lost that fight, but I thought he won on damage. But some thought he lost. He got taken down a ton. Against Alex De Silva, got taken down 2 or 3 times. De Silva was able to pretty much not dominate, but win that first round pretty handily with the top control and the takedowns. And against Jamie Mullarkey was able to get him down 2 or 3 times. And if those guys are getting you down, hopefully nobody forgot about Gregor Gillespie, because this guy's wrestling is some of the best wrestling you'll see. This guy's grappling is phenomenal. This guy is an absolute beast. And Brad Riddell's going to have to knock him out to win this fight. It's one of those classic striker versus grapplers, but Gillespie's on a different level. This guy's wrestling is legit. He's averaging a massive 7 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 47% takedown accuracy. And Brad Riddell does have a 60% takedown defense. And yes, his takedown defense is decent. His get-up game's pretty solid, but it doesn't matter with Gregor Gillespie. He's going to get you down. If you stand up, you're going to go right back down. And honestly, I do think that Gregor's very live, not just to win this fight, but to win this fight inside the distance. Brad Riddell in his only loss was submitted, and Gillespie does have a decent amount of submissions on his record. 84% finish rate for Gillespie overall, 46% by knockout, 38% by submission. I think he's going to put Riddell in some very bad positions and probably submit him here. So I'm going to take Gillespie pretty handily here. I will say this, I do have Gillespie in a parlay as well. One of my more confident picks on the slate. It's, Brad Riddell's going to have to knock him out. He's going to have to knock him out to win this fight, and that's just not something Brad Riddell's done in the UFC as of yet. He has shown some power. He has hurt some of his opponents. I think he hurt Malarkey. He hurt Mustafayev as well, but you're going to have to knock out Gregor Gillespie, and some might think he's chinny, but you can't call somebody chinny just by getting knocked out like that. I mean, that was a crazy knockout there, but I'm going to take Gregor Gillespie to win, and I'm going to take him to win by, I'm going to say first round submission. You know what? I'll say second round. I'll say second round submission for Gregor Gillespie, and that's what I like about Gillespie here is, Alex de Silva was, winning that fight pretty clearly. I remember watching that fight live, and, Riddell dropped that first round, and I was like, yeah, got a live bet Brad Riddell here because Silva's going to tire out, and that's just what he did. Gregor Gillespie's not going to tire out whatsoever. This guy has a gas tank for days. Looking at his Instagram, he's in phenomenal shape. I really like Gillespie here to win, and like I said, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he won inside the distance. So Gregor Gillespie, second round submission. All right, main event here. Just want to remind you guys to like the video, subscribe if you have not yet, and then tune into the live stream on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be going over the weigh-ins. I want to see the guys on the scales. I want to see Harry Hunsucker on the scales. I want to see what kind of shape he's in on short notice. And in all seriousness, I want to see Roman Dolidze on the scales going from 205 to 185. That's a big, big jump. And I also want to see Grant Dawson on the scales as well, going from 145 to 155. I want to see him at the face-offs and see the difference in size between Santos and Dawson there. So tune into the live stream. We'll talk about all that good stuff there, but with right now we're going to get into the main event, which is an interesting one. This main event, honestly, it's really tough to call. I will say this right away. I think the line is off. I think the line is absolutely off. There's a lot of hype on Holland, and I do think the line should be really closer to a pick'em. Kevin Holland opened up minus 175, currently minus 170. Derek Brunson opened up plus 160, currently plus 150. So some money's coming in on the Brunson side. I will say Brunson's the value side. I mean, going through, we'll get into the stats real quick, but, Holland, he is 28 years old. He's going to be the younger fighter by 9 years, 6'3", 81-inch reach, and that's a big thing about Holland. He has that reach, 4-inch reach advantage, 21-5, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Derek Brunson, 37 years old, 6'1", so he is getting up there in age, 77-inch reach, 21-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And, like I was saying, I mean, I get the stance on Derek Brunson. If you get into the tape of Kevin Holland, and I went back and watched a good 5, 6, maybe 7 fights of Kevin Holland, and there was red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag. I mean, Brendan Allen was able to submit him. Alessio Dorico took him down a couple times. The Gerald Meerschaert was a really big red flag, and that was just 2 years ago where, Meerschaert was able to take Holland down multiple times, control him for a decent amount of that fight. A lot of people thought that Meerschaert maybe edged that fight as well. What else? Thiago Santos, no shame in that. But and then other than that, the Darren Stewart, I mean, people are probably forgetting what happened in that Darren Stewart fight. I mean, that Darren Stewart fight was pretty close, or at least a lot closer than you'd like to see there. But yeah, just red flag after red flag, him getting taken down, him slowing down as the fight goes on. I really question the IQ of Holland at sometimes. I mean, he's in the cage, he's talking a lot. I don't like to see that, but so I get it. I get the look at Derek Brunson here because what he is a really, really good wrestler. And he's going to take down Holland in this fight. He's definitely going to take him down. But going through the career of Derek Brunson, I don't know. I mean, he took down Shabazian a couple times. He took down Ian Heinisch a couple times. He took down Elias Theodorou 4 times. Other than that, he's not really taken down guys that I really think are very dangerous off their back, like Kevin Holland. I mean, we saw how dangerous Kevin Holland was off his back in his last fight when he knocked out Jacare Souza in one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen. So he's dangerous off his back. He's really slippery, scrambly. And I don't know if Derek Brunson is going to be able to hold him down because he had problems holding down a guy like Elias Theodorou. He did control him a little bit, but Theodorou was able to scramble up. And yes, Brunson is going to get takedowns in this fight. It's just, can he get control time on Kevin Holland? And that's where I lean towards no. And on the feet, I favor Kevin Holland. He's going to be the longer, rangier fighter. He's going to be throwing the more volume by a decent margin. and the younger fighter as well, and he does have some power, and the durability goes to Holland, and it goes to Holland by a really decent margin. I mean, Brunson's somebody that's been knocked out 5 times. Holland's chin is made of steel. This dude in 26 fights has never been knocked out. Holland has extremely good durability, but yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be a very close fight. I'm interested to see how this fight looks if it gets extended, because Holland has slowed down in the past, but at the same time, Brunson has slowed down in the past. So who do I give the cardio edge to? I don't really know, because sometimes Holland's cardio looks very good. Sometimes it looks really questionable. And Derek Brunson looked very good in his last fight against Edmund Shabazian. So it's a tough fight. I've been going back and forth on this one. I think that, Brunson's going to have a decent amount of early success. It's just I don't see him holding down Holland, and that's a big thing. So do I see him really, out wrestling Holland for 25 minutes? It's going to expend a lot of energy, because it's going to be really hard to hold a guy like Kevin Holland down. I'm going to go Kevin Holland here. I don't love it. I don't love the line. I think the value side 100% is on the Brunson side, but I don't know. Brunson's 37 years old. He's been knocked out a ton. I just see Holland knocking him out at some point. I'm going to say Holland second round knockout, but I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's a tough fight to call, but I like calling on this fight. I went against Brunson in his last fight. He burned me there. Maybe he burns me here as well. I think the game plan is going to be taking down Kevin Holland. I do think he does, but I don't think he holds Kevin Holland down. And Kevin Holland is going to offer some stuff off his back. I mean, he's going to throw up submissions. Obviously, we saw how dangerous is he off his back in his last fight. But I'm going to take Kevin Holland to win by knockout. I'm going to say he's going to be the 6th person to knock out Derek Brunson. But man, there's some red flags. So I'd kind of be cautious here. I think Kevin Holland by KO at like plus 160 is not the worst look in the world, because if he wins, it's probably by knockout. Don't see him submitting Brunson. Brunson's never been submitted in 28 fights, but I'm going to say Kevin Holland wins by a second round knockout there. So yeah, just going to quickly go through the picks here. We have Kevin Holland, Gregor Gillespie, Tuivasa, Adrian Yanez, Max Griffin, Cheyenne Bays, Macy Chiasson, Grant Dawson, Roman Dolidze, Montel Jackson, Julia Avila, Bruno Silva. Yeah, so not much dogs. I think only one dog. So there's going to be some people giving me crap in the comments, but I was looking hard at Leonardo Santos, some red flags there, and I was looking kind of hard at Derek Brunson, but some red flags there as well. I think Holland knocks him out. Other than that, most confident pick, probably Montel Jackson and Gregor Gillespie. But yeah, this card should be good. Should be a fun card, and then we have a great card next week, so going to get into that. I want to get that out very early next week. I'm probably going to start researching when I post this video here, because I want to get an early start on that one. But, as always, thank you guys for your support week in and week out. You guys show the best support in the world. If you guys can like the video, that'd be very appreciated. Subscribe if you have not yet. Just hit 10K. Let's keep it growing. Let's keep growing the channel. And I will see you guys on Friday for the after weigh-in show, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be talking bets, DraftKings, weigh-ins, final thoughts. If you want to talk to me more, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers, and you can hit me up on there. I'm pretty usually good at replying. But yeah, other than that, good luck, guys. Let's make some money this week. Let's watch some fights. Let's have some fun. And good luck on Saturday.